we have a new litmus test. So Shutter Media, oh my God, litmus test. And it doesn't even include any of those monumentally important topics. It is just on economics, and it's so simple, and it's something that every American, in the polling that I just read to you, overwhelmingly agrees with. It's not too much to ask for. So what is it? Let me unveil it for you guys. So number one in our progressive economic pledge is higher wages. The media tells me, oh, the stock market's doing great. We got nothing to worry about. Yeah, but you don't have your money in the stock market. The bottom 90%, even look at the framing of that. The bottom 90%, right, have almost no money in the stock market. And so they say, well, I don't know, I'm doing great. No, we're not doing great. 40 goddamn years of stagnant wages. So what do we want? $15 minimum wage. By the way, Nancy Pelosi said that she was going to pass out in the first 100 hours. All right, here we are. How many months later? Nearly 6 months later. We still don't have it. So why don't we have it when, number one, it's super simple in a Congress that is now, in a House that is overwhelmingly Democratic, and number two, you promised it. I mean, you don't even promise the other progressive policy positions, but this one you pretended you were in favor of. Why don't we have it? She says, well, some of the more conservative Democrats don't want it. Okay. So, all right, quick, but here's the thing I don't understand. Why do you give a crap? Vote on it! Vote on it! Vote on it! Okay? So, well, the sophisticated three-dimensional chess players in Washington say, well, then that would expose the conservative Democrats to the wrath of their voters. Exactly! In a democracy, you're supposed to be exposed to the wrath of your voters. And wait a minute. Conservative Democrats, if you're worried that your voters are in favor of increasing the minimum wage, then why aren't you doing it? Oh, maybe it's the goddamn donors. And then I'm supposed to respect Nancy Pelosi as a master legislator. In a House that is overwhelmingly Democratic, you can't get the simplest thing passed. You'll excuse me if I don't think you're a master legislator. So, but I'm not done because, look, minimum wage is important, but it's step one. We got the middle class. You know what helps? Collective bargaining. How are you supposed to have leverage against your employer if you're just by yourself? They're going to mow you down. They're going to mow you down. You've got to get together. If you don't have collective bargaining and you don't have people power, they're going to squeeze you to the end of time. So we've got to have that. And then this is the one that is going to trip them up. And it's actually a very simple request. It's actually the most simple thing you could ask for in a democracy. To represent the average American worker rather than your corporate donors. Because that is actually the heart of the problem. If your representatives actually represented you, like, I don't know, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, then they would fight for your wages instead of fighting for their corporate executives and the stock buybacks, etc. The number one reason you don't have higher wages is because they bought all of Congress. So we're going to demand that they actually represent us. Yes, their feelings will be hurt. I'm sorry, their feelings will be very hurt. I remember Barney Frank told us, hey, what do you want us to do? Take none of the banker money instead of 20%? Yes! Yes, you schmuck. If you take 20% of the banker money, you will be forever the Washington Generals to the Republicans' Harlem Globetrotters. Because you are destined to lose if they get 4 times as much money as you. They can't, this guy is bragging about how he did Wall Street regulation. He can't do math. No, we want you to take none of the banker money and actually fight for us. Plank number 2, Medicare for all. No, we're not Medicare for America, not Medicare for some, not Medicare for me but not for you, not public option. No, we didn't stutter. We didn't stutter. Medicare for all. And this is one of the most confounding ones in terms of the media. They say, well, Amy Klobuchar agrees to the public option, so I guess she's in favor of Medicare for all. No, that's the opposite. That means she's not in favor of Medicare for all. God damn it, it's not that hard. Do your job, right? And Amy Klobuchar, is it too much to ask that you support 70% of the country, let alone the Democratic Party? And you know what she says? She says, well, how are you going to pay for that? It's going to be very expensive. And so all these progressives are promising things that American people want. Okay, you should look into that, Amy. And she says, well, you know what I'm going to give you? And she said this in a town hall. She said, look under your chairs. You know what you'll find there? Nothing. Okay, great, Amy. 2 can play at that game. Look under your chair. You know what we got for you? Nothing. No votes, no donations, no volunteers. If you're not for Medicare for all, you're not on our team, and you're not a progressive. Green New Deal. Number 3, Green New Deal. So, Fox News has smeared this 8 ways to Sunday. And they made up things about how they're going to ban cows. Nobody wrote that. That's a hilarious lie. But imagine how stupid the Fox News audience is. That they go, oh, yeah, I bet they ban cows. Yeah, that makes sense. Right? Nobody's banning cows. Nobody's banning airplanes. So since apparently corporate Democrats, Republicans, Fox News, but also the corporate media is a little slow, let's clarify. 2 things, okay? 2 fundamental parts of the Green New Deal. One is we are going to get off of fossil fuels in 10 years. And second part is we are going to create millions of jobs rebuilding the energy infrastructure of this country. That's it. That's what the Green New Deal is. So if you hear anyone lying about what the Green New Deal is, no, you tell them, look, it's very clear, okay? It's in the pledge. So now think about what a win-win that is. When Eisenhower built a highway system, the bridges, and created infrastructure in America, you know what that led to? It led us to being the #1 economy in the world. That's what made us the #1 economy. So if we rebuild the energy infrastructure and we create millions of jobs doing that, what do we have? We have more jobs. We've got a brand new infrastructure that is going to serve us for decades going forward, and we save the planet. It's a win-win. Number four, college for all. If my dad didn't get a free college education, I'd still be an olive farmer in southeastern Turkey. And we didn't have any chance at all to make it. We had no hope at all. We were dirt poor. My family was back then. And my dad got a free college education. He became a mechanical engineer and has set up many businesses, both in Turkey and here in America. You know why? You know what that is? So funny enough, they could afford it in the 1960s in Turkey. And they're telling us the richest nation on earth, America, can't afford it? Preposterous. That, you know what that is? That's the American dream. And so the American dream is not supposed to be for the wealthy elite. It's supposed to be for all of us. It's supposed to be for your kids. So, they say, I told you already that it's 5% of the Iraq War, and every time you mention College for All, they make it sound like it's the most expensive thing in the world. I just want to reinforce one quick thing. Have you ever seen any anchors when John Bolton or anyone else is threatening war with Iran or Venezuela? Forget the past, Iran or Venezuela right now, today. Do you ever see an anchor saying, how are you going to pay for that? Never asked once. But when it's your kids that's going to get a college education, all of a sudden they're lions. And all of a sudden, I have journalistic integrity. I will now berate any progressive candidate that dares to help your kids. But when it comes to war, they never ask it. Number 5, end the corruption. So it is a very specific request. It is an amendment to end the private financing of elections. It's pure logic. If private interests finance the politicians, they are going to work for private interests. If we have public financing of elections, they might work for the public interest. And of course, as usual, what will the media scream in unison? How are you going to pay for that? Okay, it is a tiny fraction of all of the things that I just discussed. It is a minuscule amount of money. Now, let me tell you what is really expensive. So between 2010 and 2015, 5-year period, top 200 companies that gave money into politics spent $5.8 billion. Now, if you ask people on TV, they say, oh, that's because they were doing that for charity. And they'll look at you and incredulously say, are you saying that Hillary Clinton or any other politician might have changed their votes because they got that money? Yes, that's what I'm saying, yes. Okay, so did they? Well, they spent $5.8 billion, and was it for charity, was it for their health, or did they get a return on investment? This is what they got in return. Those companies got $4.4 trillion in subsidies. My real question is, how are you going to pay for that? This system is a system that's broken. This system is the one that is too expensive. Our healthcare system is twice as expensive as every other industrialized world, every other country in the industrialized world. The real question is, how can we pay for the current, terribly bloated, expensive healthcare system in this country? How can we afford the terribly bloated, corrupt private financing of elections in this country? We can't, and we must change it. And in order to do that, you've got to call it by its name. It's called corruption.